Israel has come under a barrage of missile attacks by Iran, triggering warning sirens in parts of the country. Air defense systems were activated in central and northern areas of Israel overnight. Israeli media report all missiles fired from Iran were intercepted. Nida Ibrahim is live for us from Ramallah in the occupied West Bank. So as he mentioned there, Nida, sirens sounding in Tel Aviv, Haifa and Jerusalem. And cabinet ministers, we understand, were forced into bunkers during a security meeting. There is no doubt that the threat is still persistent.
Yes, indeed. And in the past 24 hours, Israel Hayom, an Israeli newspaper, says that the number of rockets being fired from Iran into Israel has increased because we've been reporting a decrease in the number of the Iranian fired missiles since the beginning of the war. Now it seems to be picking up. We are talking about 6 rounds of missiles that have been fired from Iran from last night until this morning. That's not to mention the rockets that are being fired and drones that are being fired from Hezbollah into Israel. The millions of Israelis have had to go to shelters overnight. It was a sleepless night for many of them as the attacks were targeting the central area of Israel as well as the northern area. This is something that is triggering many Israelis, particularly that we're talking about a situation where in Israel the siren time, or the time before the siren hits and the time between the siren hits and the rocket arrives is very minimal. It's decreasing. And it might be because there is a jeopardy in the radar systems in the region that is not allowing Israel to detect the launch of missiles ahead of time. And this also reminds us that because Israel has been saying that they've targeted at least 80% of Iran's ability or Iran's missile launchers, what we have been seeing in the past 24 hours, where the estimate is that 20 launches were fired from Iran, that kind of casts a doubt on the Israeli narrative of destroying missile launchers. Of course, there are so many launchers that Israel might not have detected or are aware of, but that is also making Israelis worry. They say that they want to act like the war is ending soon, but they want to try and extend the war so they can hit more and more targets. So this is a very sensitive situation for Israelis, and we've been hearing a lot of Israeli media talking about the war goals are not being achieved the way the government has said it will.
OK, so on the one hand saying that the war's going to be over quickly, on the other hand implying that they need to go harder and further in Iran to neutralise the threat. And just to add to that, we're hearing also that Israel's expanding its defence budget by approximately $13 billion. I mean, does that indicate a war of attrition is on the horizon?
We are talking about 30% of the budget that's now being allocated into the defense budget. They're doing budget deductions from other sectors to make them and allocate them for defense in their terms, or for security, let's call it this way. This shows that the Israelis want to signal that they are not done yet. And they're trying to lobby with the U.S. administration and with President Trump to try and elongate the war, expand it. But they're saying that they have been receiving conflicting messages from the U.S. president. That's why they want to keep cracking down on Iran. And as one security official told an Israeli newspaper, that they will hit targets much more intensely now, as if the war is going to end soon, while they're going to try and lobby for more time to reach the war goals. Although, Neva, I have to say that we've been sensing this change of tone, if I may, in Israeli defense analysts or Israeli military sources, who are saying that most likely they're not going to achieve the goal of changing the regime, but we might be looking at undermining its ability to send threats into Israel. So it seems like they're trying to make their words similar to that of Trump's, as he was signaling that the most priority is to undermine the regime and not necessarily change it. And we've been also hearing from Israeli media, they're saying that maybe the regime will fall after the war ends. So that's also a change of tone, if you may. But still, the Israeli military officials, they all want to extend the war for at least 2 weeks, according to security officials.
OK, Nida, many thanks for guiding us through the shifting narratives at the moment in Israel. Nida Ibrahim, live for us in Ramallah in the occupied West Bank.